Hey guys, tonight we step into the worn sandals of a Roman gladiator. Imagine the clanging of swords, the heat of the sun beating down on your back, and the roar of thousands of spectators surrounding you. As the crowd roars, the scent of sweat and blood fills the air. It's a hard life, and you probably won't survive it, but let's see how it goes anyway. You wake up to the dull hum of the barracks. The air is heavy, thick with the smell of men who've been through too many battles. The barracks walls are cracked, and the dampness seeps into your bones no matter how many layers you wrap yourself in. There's no room for luxury here. The space is cramped, just enough for the hundreds of men sharing the same fate as you. You roll off your rough straw mat, no blankets, no comfort, just the cold, hard ground beneath you. The sound of groaning, the shuffle of boots, and the occasional muttered curses drift around you. These are your companions. You can barely hear your own thoughts over the cacophony, but that's fine. There's no time to think anyway. Morning isn't gentle. It never is. Your muscles ache from the brutal training of yesterday, your body battered, but the pain is part of your life now. It's the price you pay for survival in this place. The first thing you do, without hesitation, is check your gear. Your sword is still in its place, although its edge has dulled from yesterday's practice, the remnants of your fight with a fellow gladiator still evident. Your shield, though, tells a different story. It's scuffed, damaged, and worn from repeated clashes. But there's no time to focus on that. It's part of the job, part of the routine. You know the deal by now. Every day, your gear needs to be checked, maintained, and ready for another round of combat, and you must be ready to use it without hesitation. The sounds of grunts and boots dragging on the floor lead you toward the training yard. The lanista, your grizzled trainer, is already barking orders as he surveys the yard, his sharp eyes watching for weakness. He doesn't tolerate laziness, and this is your reality every single day. You can feel his eyes on your back, urging you forward. The sand crunches under your sandals as you walk toward the yard, your body protesting every step, but you push through it. There's no other choice. The lanista's voice cuts through the air, sharp as a whip, demanding perfection. It's not just about fighting, it's about surviving each day. And that means pushing your body until it feels like it might break. Breakfast is the next thing on your mind, although the word breakfast might be a bit generous. You've seen better meals at the bottom of the barrel. A small hunk of bread, slightly stale but filling. A bit of porridge that's been sitting out since the dawn of time. If you're lucky, you might get some salted fish, but don't get your hopes up. It's the same every day. Nothing fancy, nothing to write home about, but it's enough to keep your stomach from growling too loudly, and enough to get you through the morning. There's no joy in this meal. It's purely functional. You don't savor it, you don't indulge, it's just fuel. The bread is hard and dry, like chewing on a rock, and the porridge tastes more like water than anything edible. But you eat it. You have no choice. You don't waste food here, not when every bite counts towards another round of training, another fight that might end your life. You're grateful for it, in a way. The simple meal does the job, filling the void, giving you enough energy to keep moving. You don't think about what's missing from the plate. There's no luxury in the life of a gladiator, and you've long since come to terms with that. Historians still argue about how much the gladiators were fed and whether it was enough to sustain them through the rigorous battles. Some suggest that gladiators were given a high-carb, high-protein diet to keep them in top physical condition, while others believe the food was sparse and barely sufficient. Some argue that gladiators were considered nothing more than expendable tools, and their meals reflected that. But whatever the truth, you know that what's on your plate today is just enough to keep you alive for the time being. After breakfast, there's little time to waste. Your next task is the most dreaded part of the day, training. The Lanista's voice, hoarse from shouting commands, echoes across the yard as he orders you to grab your weapons. You go through the motions, taking your sword and shield, but the exhaustion is starting to settle in your bones. Every muscle aches, every joint creaks in protest, but there's no stopping now. The Lanista doesn't care about your pain. He cares only about how well you fight. And you know that if you don't improve, you might not make it through the next fight. The drills are relentless. You swing your sword, block imaginary strikes with your shield, practice thrusts and slashes. It's a grueling process, one that wears you down both mentally and physically. You can hear the sounds of the other gladiators training, their grunts and shouts filling the yard. It's like a machine, everyone working toward the same goal, pushing themselves harder and harder. Your body protests with every swing, every repetition, but you keep going. You know what's at stake. Every drill is another chance to perfect your technique, to ensure that you don't make a fatal mistake when you step into the arena. You try to focus on the Lanista's instructions, but your mind wanders. You can't help it. You think about your family, the ones you left behind when you were sold into this life. You wonder if they're still alive, if they still remember you. But there's no room for distractions in this line of work. You push the thoughts away, focusing on the task at hand. The Lanista's voice cuts through your thoughts, telling you to focus. He's right. You need to focus. Every move, every moment counts. And if you want to make it out of here alive, you can't afford to make mistakes. The sweat pours down your face, stinging your eyes. Your sword feels heavier with every swing, but you keep going. The sound of the wooden sword hitting the wooden target is rhythmic, almost soothing. But you know that it's just a small piece of the puzzle. You know that it's not enough to just practice, you need to fight. And that's what keeps you going. Each swing, each thrust bringing you one step closer to surviving the arena. As the last echoes of the training drills fade into the dusty air, you catch your breath for a moment, trying to ignore the burning in your muscles. But there's no time to rest. Your Lanista barks at you to clean your gear and prepare for another round of exercises. You wonder how many days it's been since you last had a proper rest. The idea of taking it easy is foreign in this life. Here, there is only the next drill, the next fight, and the constant fear of the arena. You shuffle back to your small personal area in the barracks, a spot no one else dares claim because it's just a little too close to the drafty window, too cold in the winters and too hot in the summers. But you've grown used to it. It's yours. You retrieve your gear from where it's been tossed aside, your helmet, your sword, your shield. There's always something to repair, something to sharpen, something to polish. The rust never seems to leave, and the weight of your equipment is a constant reminder that every move you make could be your last. The sound of clanging swords drifts from the other gladiators as they continue their training. You take a few moments to examine your blade, the metallic sheen dulling in the fading light. You rub your thumb along its edge, feeling the imperfections, knowing you'll need to put in extra work tonight to keep it ready for the next fight. Your shield, too, has lost its luster. The dents from previous battles remain, but you've grown attached to it. Each scratch is a badge of survival, a reminder that you've been through something, been somewhere other men haven't. Historians still argue over how much gladiators actually use their shields in combat. Some suggest they were merely used as props, while others believe they were vital tools for both offense and defense. Whatever the truth, your shield is more than just a tool. It's a piece of your life, a reminder of the battles you've survived and the ones you're about to face. It has a story, even if that story is only known to you and the countless other gladiators who've clutched it in the heat of battle. Once you're finished inspecting your weapons, you take a few moments to clean yourself up. The barracks are filled with the smells of sweat, iron, and dust, and while it's never a pleasant place, you try to ignore the discomfort. There's no room for vanity in this world. Your body is your only asset, and you need to take care of it. even if it's not much to look at. You wipe the grime from your skin, but no amount of washing will remove the permanent stains left by the life you've chosen, or rather, the life that was chosen for you. The clock ticks away as you prepare for the next round of training. The Lanista's voice comes again, sharp and demanding. You quickly pull on your armor and head back out into the yard where the other gladiators are waiting for their next drill. The familiar sounds of swords clashing fill the air once more. This is the part of the day that you know best. This is where the real work begins. Training is grueling. Today, the Lanista has decided that it's time to work on endurance. He has you and the other gladiators running laps in the sand, the soft ground slowing you down with every step. The weight of your armor is unbearable after only a few laps, and soon you feel as though you can't go on. But you push yourself further. There's no choice. If you stop, if you show weakness, the Lanista will notice, and that means punishment. No one wants that. Not here, not when survival is on the line. You run, the sound of your boots pounding against the sand echoing in the air. You glance over at the other gladiators, all of them struggling just like you. Some are faster, others slower, but all of you are in this together, even if it feels like a lonely battle. The sweat drips from your brow, stinging your eyes, but you keep running. You can't stop. The Lanista is watching, and you know that every moment counts. At first, the run feels like a simple task, something your body is used to. But the further you go, the heavier the armor becomes, the more your legs begin to feel like lead. The heat of the midday sun beats down on you, suffocating, almost unbearable. You try to keep your focus, to keep your body moving, but the exhaustion is overwhelming. The sand shifts under your feet, and with every step, you feel your resolve weakening. But you push through. You've trained for this moment, and you can't afford to fail. The Lanista's voice rings out again, urging you to go faster, to push harder. You don't dare stop. There's no room for failure in this life. You run harder, faster, feeling the weight of your body as it moves, each step a reminder that you are alive, for now. The crowd, the arena, the blood, all of it feels distant in this moment. All that matters now is the next lap, the next step. Your focus narrows, the pain in your legs becoming a dull ache, just another part of the routine. You've learned to live with it. As the training session winds down, you feel the strain in your muscles, the exhaustion in your bones, but you've made it through another day. You've survived. For now.
After the grueling physical exercises, there's a brief, and I do mean brief, moment to catch your breath. The Lanista, no doubt, is already preparing for the next round of combat drills, but you'd give anything for a few minutes of rest. Yet in this life, you never really get to rest for long. The body may be exhausted, but the mind is always alert. You know that each moment of rest is just a short reprieve before the inevitable training or the dangerous reality of the arena itself. You find a quiet corner in the barracks, the air filled with the scent of leather and sweat. Your fellow gladiators around you as they attempt to mend their broken equipment and recover from the latest round of physical exertion. You try not to look at the others too much. Their faces are mirrors of your own exhaustion, but also determination. A few are already bandaging up the gashes and bruises from earlier, their fingers working swiftly as they clean and maintain their weapons. There's something almost mechanical about it. Everyone here is just trying to survive. While most of the other gladiators are busy with their repairs, you focus on your own gear. You check your sword again, feeling the weight of it in your hand. The edge is sharp again thanks to your earlier efforts, but the handle still feels rough, worn from countless hours of use. Your shield, too, has seen better days. The wood is splintered in places, the metal rim chipped, but it's still sturdy enough to withstand another round of combat. It's a reminder of the fragility of your situation. Every tool you hold, every piece of armor, is a testament to the fleeting nature of your existence. The next fight, could be your last. As you sit there, carefully inspecting your equipment, you can't help but think about how much you've changed since you first entered the gladiator life. Back then, everything was new, frightening even. But now it's routine. Your body is adapted to the endless physical strain, the bruises and cuts that heal only to be replaced by new ones. You've learned how to move, how to fight, how to survive. But the fear? That never really goes away. It's always there, lurking in the back of your mind. Every time you step onto the sand of the arena, every time you face another gladiator in a fight to the death, you feel the pulse of fear. It's the same for everyone. Even the veterans feel it, although they don't show it as much as the new recruits. Historians still debate whether gladiators ever truly overcame their fear. Some suggest that the longer they fought, the more fearless they became, while others believe that fear remained a constant companion, even for the most seasoned of warriors. Regardless of the truth, it doesn't matter much for you. Fear or not, you have a job to do. And right now, that job involves preparing for what's next. The hours creep by, and soon it's time to head back to the training yard. You gather your things and follow the other gladiators out, the noise of the barracks gradually fading as the sounds of the yard take over. The lanista is already barking orders as you line up, ready for the next round of drills. He's been pacing back and forth, his eyes sharp, scanning for any sign of weakness. There's no room for mistakes here, not when the stakes are so high. Today's training session focuses on combat techniques, the real thing. The lanista pairs you up with another gladiator for a mock fight, and you know this is where things get serious. You can't afford to go easy on your opponent, not with the lanista watching. Your heart races as you step into the sand, the familiar weight of your sword and shield in your hands. The crowd is imaginary today, but you can still feel their presence, like a ghost at your back, silently judging your every move. Your opponent stands across from you, his body tense, his eyes locked on to yours. This is the part of the day that makes everything else seem trivial. The fight, the sweat, the exhaustion. This is what you've been training for. The lanista's voice cuts through the air, sharp and direct, signaling the start of the fight. You raise your shield, positioning yourself for defense, knowing that every move from here on out will determine whether you walk away or end up in the healer's tent. You charge, sword high, but your opponent is quick, darting to the side and blocking your strike with his shield. The force of the blow sends a jolt through your arm, but you recover quickly, stepping back to reassess. You know this game. It's all about timing, about anticipating your opponent's next move before they even make it. You swing again, this time aiming for his side, but he's ready. His shield slams into yours, knocking you off balance. For a moment, everything blurs. Your feet slide in the sand, and you feel the sting of your muscles protesting the effort. But you don't stop. The fight drags on, both of you landing hits here and there, each blow more exhausting than the last. The air is thick with the sound of metal clashing, the rhythmic thud of your feet in the sand, and the steady beat of your heart in your chest. You're both tiring, but there's no room for slowing down. The lanista watches with his sharp eyes, his gaze never leaving you. His silence is more intimidating than any shout he could make. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, you land a decisive blow. Your opponent stumbles back, his defenses momentarily shattered, but it's not over yet. The lanista steps forward, signaling the end of the match. You both lower your weapons, breathing heavily, sweat dripping down your faces. It's not a win, it's not a loss. It's just another day, another fight survived. You're not out of the woods yet.
As the last echoes of your sparring match fade away, the sand beneath your feet seems to have grown heavier, as if the weight of the fight itself is now embedded in the ground. Your opponent steps back, nodding in a tired but respectful gesture, his breathing ragged but steady. The lanista, ever the critical eye gives you a brief glance. It's not praise you're after. It never is. In this life, survival isn't about winning. It's about proving you can withstand the never-ending cycle. And today, you've done just enough to stay in the game. You step back into the barracks, your limbs heavy, your chest tight. The familiar sounds of gladiators cleaning their weapons and preparing for their next drills fill the air. The atmosphere is thick, heavy with the same exhaustion you feel coursing through your body. But it's not over. Not yet. There's a brief moment of quiet, the rare kind you've come to cherish. A few gladiators sit in the corner, tending to their wounds, their eyes distant, lost in thought. Others engage in quiet conversations, speaking in low tones that can barely be heard over the general noise. But no matter what they say, you know the truth. Everyone here is simply marking time, waiting for the inevitable. You, however, can't afford that luxury. Your wounds, though not severe, need attention. A fresh cut on your arm stings, but it's nothing you haven't dealt with before. You find a small, somewhat clean piece of cloth and start binding the wound, the rough fabric rubbing against your skin. The blood, now drying, leaves an uncomfortable sensation, but you don't dare stop. Every injury, no matter how small, must be treated. A gladiator's life is fragile, and it's the smallest of cuts that can sometimes turn the tide. As you finish, your attention drifts back to your weapon. The sword, which seemed so sharp earlier, now feels slightly duller in your hands. You'll need to sharpen it again before the next training session. The shield also requires maintenance. The dents from previous sparring sessions haven't healed, but they've become familiar marks of survival. You've lost track of how many times you've fixed your equipment, how many times you've had to patch yourself up, only to step right back into the fray. Historians still debate whether gladiators received proper medical care. Some suggest that skilled healers were available to treat wounds in the barracks, while others argue that gladiators were simply left to fend for themselves. Whatever the truth, you know that the life of a gladiator doesn't allow for much downtime. Every cut and bruise is just another part of the life you've chosen, or rather, the life that was chosen for you. But you accept it. You've learned to live with it, just like everything else. The day wears on slowly, the heat of the midday sun creeping through the open windows of the barracks. You sit in a corner, your thoughts drifting to the next phase of the day, the moment when you'll step into the arena. The idea isn't new to you. You've been here before. You've fought for your life before. But each time, the nerves resurface. They can't help it. The thought of facing another opponent, of stepping into the ring where death could be just a swing of the sword away, never fully goes away. It's a part of this life. The anxiety builds, a gnawing feeling in your stomach that no amount of training can quiet. You glance at your fellow gladiators, some sharpening their weapons, others engaged in quiet conversations. Their faces are all familiar now, yet still each of them remains a stranger. In this world, you don't have the luxury of friendship. You're all just men trying to make it through, trying to survive until tomorrow. Some might make it, others won't. It's a cruel reality, but one you've come to accept. The lanista appears again, his gruff voice breaking the silence like a clap of thunder. It's time to prepare for the arena. The familiar feeling of dread sinks in your chest, but you quickly push it aside. There's no use in thinking about it too much.
Fear is a luxury you can't afford. The walk to the arena is a blur. Your mind races, your heart pounds in your chest, and your body seems to move on autopilot. The Colosseum looms ahead, its towering structure dwarfing everything around it. The sound of the crowd grows louder with each step you take, the roar of thousands of spectators rising in a chaotic swell. The energy is electric, charged with anticipation. It's the same every time. The arena is both your battleground and your prison. As you approach the gates, the sense of fear becomes tangible. You're not sure if it's the crowd or the thought of the fight that terrifies you more. Maybe it's both. But the moment you step onto the sand, everything changes. The heat of the sun on your back, the sounds of the crowd fading into the background, everything becomes a blur. It's just you and your opponent now. The Lanista's voice rings out, signaling the start of the battle. You raise your shield, sword at ready, and take your stance. This is it, the moment you've been training for. The fight will test everything you've learned, every ounce of strength and skill you've developed in the barracks. But despite everything, despite the exhaustion, despite the fear, you're ready. At least, you have to be. The gates open, and the roar of the crowd hits you like a wave. This is where it all happens. This is where you either live or die. There's no in-between.
The crowd's deafening roar fills your ears as you step onto the sand of the arena. It's an overwhelming sensation. The noise, the heat, the weight of every single spectator's gaze pressing down on you. For a moment, the world outside the arena seems distant, unimportant. All that matters now is the space between you and your opponent, the dusty floor beneath your feet, and the heavy weight of your shield in your hand. Your heart beats a little faster, and you feel the nerves you've tried to suppress creeping in. This moment, it seems, never gets easier. Even though you've been here countless times before, each battle feels different. Each fight is a new test, a new chance to prove that you belong here. And today, like every other day, survival is your only goal. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. All that matters is that you live to fight another day. Your opponent stands before you, tall and imposing, his eyes fixed on you with a mix of determination and calculation. There's no sign of fear in his gaze, but you know he feels it. Everyone does. Even the most seasoned gladiators can't help but feel the weight of the arena, the weight of the crowd pressing on their shoulders. You both know this is more than just a sparring match. This is a battle for survival. The Lanista's voice echoes through the arena, signaling the start of the fight. You grip your sword tighter, the familiar metal cold in your hand. It's a feeling you've come to know all too well. The anticipation, the focus, the adrenaline rushing through your veins. You raise your shield, positioning it between you and your opponent, ready for whatever comes next. Your opponent makes the first move. He charges towards you with surprising speed, and you quickly raise your shield to block his strike. The impact is strong, and the force sends a jolt up your arm, but you manage to hold your ground. You can feel the heat of the sun on your back, the sweat already beginning to drip down your face. The sand beneath your feet shifts with every movement, making it hard to maintain your footing, but you keep your balance. You know that one slip can mean disaster. You counter with a swing of your sword, aiming for his side. He blocks it with his own shield, but the force of your strike knocks him back, giving you a moment to reset. You take a deep breath, trying to steady your racing heart. The crowd's noise fades for a split second, replaced by the sound of your breath and the thundering pulse of your own blood. This is it. This is where you prove yourself. Historians often debate the true nature of gladiatorial combat, whether it was a display of skill, a test of endurance, or a brutal spectacle for the enjoyment of the masses. Some argue that gladiators were skilled warriors, trained in various forms of combat, while others believe that the fights were simply a way for the Roman Empire to entertain and distract the populace. Whatever the truth, in this moment, it doesn't matter. You are both fighters, and right now, the only thing that matters is whether you leave this arena alive. The battle intensifies. You exchange blows with your opponent, each strike a blur of steel and sand. Your muscles scream with each movement, each swing of your sword, each defensive maneuver with your shield. Your arms ache, your legs feel like lead, but you don't stop. You can't, not when your life is on the line. You notice a slight opening in his defense, a moment of weakness. His shield is slightly lowered, his footwork unsteady for a brief second. Without thinking, you lunge forward, driving your sword toward him. The strike lands, but not with the force you had hoped. He manages to twist away just in time, though you can see the pain flash across his face. This is a fight to the death, but there are moments in every battle when mercy can help but sneak in. You wonder if he feels the same way. If, just for a moment, he hesitated, wondering whether he truly wants to kill you, or if this is just a job for him too. You push the thought away, focusing once more on the fight at hand. The arena around you blurs as you and your opponent circle each other, looking for an opening, waiting for the other to make a mistake. Sweat drips down your face, stinging your eyes, but you don't care. The heat of the sun, the weight of your armor, the exhaustion, it all fades. There's only the fight, only the next moment. Every move, every strike could be your last. Your opponent suddenly lunges at you, his sword aimed for your chest. It's a quick, sharp attack, and you barely manage to deflect it with your shield. The force of the blow sends you staggering back, your shield arm numb from the impact. You regain your balance just in time to avoid a second strike, but you can feel your body tiring. The adrenaline is starting to wear off and the reality of the battle sets in. You know that every gladiator has a breaking point. It could be physical, when the body simply refuses to move any longer, or it could be mental, the moment when fear overpowers resolve. The key to survival is knowing when you're close to that point and pushing just a little further. You've been taught to read your opponent, to know when they're reaching their limit, but you've also learned that your limits are closer than you think. But there's no time to dwell on that now. Your opponent presses the attack again, this time with a series of rapid strikes. You raise your shield to block, but the force of the blows is enough to push you back. The crowd is roaring, the sound of their voices swelling as the battle intensifies. It's a blur of steel, sweat, and sand, and for a moment, you lose track of where you are. Everything becomes focused on your opponent, on surviving the next few seconds. And then suddenly, everything changes. Your opponent stumbles, his foot catching on a loose stone in the sand. It's a small mistake, but it's enough. In that moment of weakness, you strike. Your sword slashes through the air, finding its mark. It's over. The fight is done. You stand there, your sword in hand, chest heaving as you try to catch your breath. The arena is still roaring, but it feels distant now, like a dream. Your heart beats in your ears, but the adrenaline is slowly wearing off. You've won, but at what cost? The arena falls silent for a moment, the crowd still caught in the aftermath of the battle. For now, you've survived. But tomorrow is another fight.
The air is thick with the sound of the crowd's applause, but it feels far away. The blood is still fresh on the sand, the remnants of the battle scattered around you like a twisted trophy. You lower your sword,
the weight of it suddenly too much to bear. For a brief moment, everything stops. The noise, the people, even the pain in your muscles. It's just you, standing in the center of the arena, breathing heavily as you try to process what just happened. You've won, but winning doesn't feel like victory. It feels like survival. And in this place, survival is the only thing that matters. The gladiators who have fought before you, those who are now just names in history, weren't any different. They too fought for the same reason you do, to stay alive. As the applause continues to echo around you, a surge of mixed emotions rises within you. There's a strange sense of satisfaction, yes, but it's quickly overshadowed by the creeping dread of what comes next. Another fight. Another day. You can never truly savor victory in this life. Not when the next battle is always just around the corner. The guards begin to move toward you, signaling that it's time to leave the arena. Their presence is both a reminder and a relief. The fight is over, but the battle never truly ends. They guide you off the sand, past the remnants of the battlefield, and toward the back of the Colosseum, where you can finally collapse, if only for a few moments. The walk back to the barracks feels surreal. Your body is sore, your armor heavy with sweat and blood, but there's a strange numbness that's settled in. You've done this enough times that it's starting to feel like a ritual, one that you know you have no choice but to repeat. Your thoughts are hazy, your mind trying to reconcile the violence with the mundanity of the life you're leading. How many more fights can you survive before your luck runs out? How many more times will you be called to spill blood on that sand? When you finally return to the barracks, the noise of your fellow gladiators fills your ears. Some are already cleaning their weapons, others are gathering in small groups to talk or strategize. There's an odd sense of camaraderie in these moments, though it's fleeting. Everyone here is in the same boat, surviving, one day at a time. You sit in the corner, your armor still on, your sword still in your hand. You don't want it to take it off. The thought of putting it down feels strange, like a part of you might disappear if you let go. You sit in silence, trying to collect yourself, trying to process the aftermath of the fight. The adrenaline is still flowing through your veins, making it hard to sit still. Your body aches in places you didn't know existed, but you've learned to ignore the pain. It's part of the life you've chosen, or the life that was chosen for you. Either way, you've learned to adapt. The lanista enters the barracks, his eyes scanning the room. His gaze flicks over each gladiator, assessing their condition. There's no need to ask about your performance in the arena. He saw everything. His silence says more than words ever could. He doesn't praise, he doesn't thank. He simply acknowledges the fight and moves on to the next one. That's how it is in this life. There's no room for gratitude, only the cold certainty that tomorrow it starts all over again. You look around at the other gladiators, the ones who survived the battle today and those who didn't. Some wear expressions of relief, while others look lost in thought, perhaps contemplating the price of their survival. You wonder if any of them think about what they've become. Is it possible to retain any sense of self in a life like this? Or do you just fade into the role of a fighter? Nothing more, nothing less. As the day wears on, you find yourself lost in thought. You've been through so much, but the reality is that none of it matters unless you can keep fighting. Each day, each battle, is a step closer to the end, but you push that thought aside. You can't afford to think about the end. Not now. Not when you've survived another fight. The noise in the barracks fades into the background as you retreat into your thoughts. The sound of weapons being cleaned, the chatter of your fellow gladiators, all of it feels distant, like the hum of life outside the arena. You focus on your breath, trying to calm your racing mind. But it's hard. The fear of tomorrow lingers like a shadow. Historians still debate whether gladiators ever truly had any say in their fate. Some believe that many fought to survive, while others suggest that some gladiators found meaning in the arena, perhaps even glory. But for you, there's no glory in this life. Only the struggle, only the fight. And so the evening slowly turns to night, and with it comes the inevitable wait for the next day. The routine will repeat itself, training, preparing, and ultimately fighting for your life. You lie in your corner of the barracks, your body still humming with the energy of the fight. You close your eyes, knowing that sleep will be fleeting, knowing that tomorrow you'll do it all over again. And so you drift into an uneasy sleep, the distant sounds of your fellow gladiators settling into the background as you dream of the arena, of the sand, the sweat, and the blood that will define your life.
The night in the barracks is never truly quiet. Even as you try to sleep, your thoughts continue to churn, the images of the day's fight replaying in your mind like a never-ending loop. The crowd, the clash of steel, the sickening thud of a blow landing. You close your eyes, but the images don't fade. They only grow sharper, more vivid, as if the arena is still alive within you. You try to shake it off, to find some peace in the restless hours before the morning, but it's hard. In this life, peace feels like a distant memory. The other gladiators snore around you, some of them already asleep, their bodies still. The only sound is the occasional rustling of someone shifting in their sleep, the creak of the barracks walls, or the distant calls of the city beyond the arena. The night is thick, heavy, and yet you can't seem to find any rest. The weight of the sword, the armor, and the endless fear of what comes next presses on your chest. Historians often argue about the psychological toll gladiatorial combat took on those who fought in the arena. Some believe it was a life of unrelenting trauma. Others suggest that the gladiators found a kind of mental toughness, adapting to the constant violence. The truth is likely somewhere in between. You've seen the older gladiators, the ones who've been fighting for years. They've grown cold, detached from the violence, as if the arena is just another day at the office. They don't seem to feel the same fear that you do, but you can still remember what it felt like before this life consumed you. You remember the softness of a world without bloodshed, without the constant fear of death. But that world is gone now. The arena is your reality, and no matter how much you want to fight it, you've become part of it. As dawn breaks, you wake to the familiar sounds of the barracks coming alive. The gladiators stir around you, stretching their sore limbs, shaking off the remnants of their own nightmares. The lanista's voice cuts through the air, sharp and commanding, telling you to get up and prepare for the day's training. The routine is never different. You are a machine. Wake, train, fight, sleep, repeat. You pull yourself out of your cot, feeling the weight of your armor already pressing down on you, even before you put it on. The metal is cool against your skin, but it quickly warms with the sweat of your body. Your muscles protest the moment you move, but there's no time to indulge in the luxury of pain. You're already late for the training yard. The sand in the training yard feels different today. It's cooler, softer, as if the arena itself is giving you a brief respite before the day's grind begins. but you know better than to take it easy. The lanista is already there, barking orders, pushing the gladiators harder with each passing minute. You can see the familiar faces around you. Some of them look tired, others eager for the fight, but none of them look happy. No gladiator ever does. Not really. The first task of the day is basic. Form drills. Shield up, sword ready, step, swing, block. Over and over. The movements are mechanical, ingrained in your body, but you push through the motions. You've been trained to do this without thinking, but today something feels off. You can't shake the lingering exhaustion from the fight yesterday. You're already tired, already feeling the weight of your body, of your mind, but there's no choice. You press on. The lanista watches every move, his eyes cold, calculating. He's not interested in how you feel. He only cares about how you perform. The drills continue, one after another. Your arms begin to burn, but you keep going. The sweat drips down your face, your chest heaving with each breath. You glance around at the other gladiators, their faces a mix of concentration and fatigue. There's no time to rest, no time to recover. This is the life you've chosen. The first break comes when the lanista orders you to line up for water. It's a small respite, but it's enough to keep you going. You drink deeply, the water cool against your dry throat, feeling it fill the void left by the sweat and blood. For a moment, you let yourself feel something other than pain, relief even. But it's short-lived. The lanista is already barking orders again, telling you to grab your weapons and prepare for the next drill. There's no time to waste. As you grab your sword and shield, you notice that the other gladiators are starting to look more worn out. Some of them have been here longer than you, their faces etched with the scars of battles fought and lost. They don't show their exhaustion as much, but you can see it in the way they move, in the way they hold their weapons. The fight isn't just physical, it's mental, and you can see the toll it takes. The next round of drills is more intense. You face off with another gladiator, your swords clashing in the air, the sound of steel ringing out across the yard. This is what you're made for, you think. The arena is just an extension of the yard, and the fight is just another part of the endless cycle. You try to focus, to block out the fatigue and the fear, but it's hard. Your body feels like it's moving on instinct, and that's when the fear creeps in. It's the same fear that's always been there, the fear of being unable to perform, of being the one who falls short. It's a fear you've learned to live with, but that doesn't mean it's gone.
The hours drag on as the training continues, each drill more exhausting than the last. The sun beats down relentlessly, turning the sand beneath your feet into a blistering furnace. Your armor feels heavier with every movement. Your sword feels like a weight in your hand, and your shield, always your shield, feels like an immovable force pressing against your arm. Yet, despite it all, you keep moving. There's no other choice. You can feel the lanista's eyes on you, always watching, always judging. One misstep, one moment of hesitation, and you could find yourself thrown into a real fight sooner than you'd like. The drills are designed to break you, both physically and mentally. There's no mercy here. The lanista doesn't care if you're tired, hungry, or hurt. His job is to make sure that you're prepared for the arena, and if that means pushing you to the brink of exhaustion, so be it. He wants warriors, not men who can't take the heat. And the heat, in this case, is unbearable. You take a brief break, sitting down in the sand, wiping the sweat from your brow with the back of your hand. The other gladiators are scattered around you, some in their own little worlds, some talking quietly. A few of them are older, their faces hardened by years of training and combat. You wonder if they ever feel the same dread you do before every fight. Some of them seem like they've grown numb to it, but you know that even the most seasoned gladiator can't escape the inevitable. One day, the arena will claim them too. You catch your breath and look around at your fellow fighters. They're all different, but they share one thing in common. They're all here for the same reason. They fight because they have no other choice. Some of them were slaves, sold into this life, while others were criminals, forced to fight for their freedom. You don't remember why you're here anymore. Maybe you were born into it, maybe you were captured, or maybe it doesn't matter. All that matters now is that you fight, and if you stop fighting, you die. The lanista calls everyone back to attention, his voice booming across the yard. The training resumes, and you force yourself to your feet. Your body protests, but you silence the urge to rest. There's no time. You take your place in line, shield raised, sword at the ready, and await the next drill. Your focus narrows, blocking out the fatigue and the fear that's been building inside of you. You've made it this far. You'll keep going. The next exercise is a mock fight against one of the more experienced gladiators. You know this is where the real test comes. It's not about technique anymore. It's about survival. You've faced opponents like him before, men who know the arena, who fought in countless battles. But you're not backing down. Not today. Not when you've come so far. The fight begins, and within seconds you're locked in a brutal exchange of blows. Your sword clashes against his shield, sending shockwaves through your arm. His movements are swift, precise, every strike aimed to wear you down. You feel the force of each blow, but you don't flinch. You can't afford to. His attacks come faster, but you find a way to anticipate his movements, blocking his strikes, countering when you can. Your body is growing tired, but your focus is sharper than ever. This is it. The arena might be waiting for you soon, but for now, this fight is your world. The clash of metal rings out in the yard, the sound echoing in your ears as the two of you dance around each other. He's bigger, stronger, but you've got speed and agility on your side. Your feet slide through the sand as you dodge his heavy swings, using your shield to deflect his blows. Every movement is calculated, every step measured. You can feel the sweat dripping down your back, the sting of your bruises, but there's no stopping, not yet. You strike back, your sword slicing through the air, landing a hit to his side. It's not a fatal blow, but it forces him back, giving you a brief moment of respite. The crowd in the distance fades into nothingness as you focus entirely on the man in front of you. This is survival. This is what you've been trained for. Your breath is ragged, your muscles screaming, but you can't stop. You know that he won't stop. He'll fight until one of you falls. The fight continues, your sword and shield moving like extensions of your own body, your movements fueled by the desire to stay alive. Every time you think you might break, you dig deeper, pushing yourself further. There's no room for doubt. There's no room for fear. Just survive. That's all you need to do. Your opponent begins to tire, his movements slower, more deliberate. You can see it in his eyes, the first signs of fatigue. It's your chance. You seize it, launching a swift strike toward his shoulder. The blow lands, and he staggers back, a look of surprise crossing his face. You follow up, pushing him further back with a flurry of attacks, forcing him to retreat. Finally, he slips, his foot catching in the sand. It's just enough of an opening. You drive your sword forward, the blade finding its mark. It's over. The lanista's voice cuts through the air, signaling the end of the fight. You stand there, panting, sweat dripping down your face, your heart still racing from the adrenaline. You've won. But you know this fight, like all the others, was only a small part of the bigger picture. The real fight is always just around the corner, always just out of reach. The lanista doesn't offer praise. He doesn't offer anything but a sharp nod, and then he moves on to the next gladiator. You stand there for a moment, your sword in hand, your body aching, but there's no time to savor the moment. You have to prepare for tomorrow. You have to be ready, because tomorrow you'll fight again, and the fight after that, and the fight after that. It never ends, until the day you fall.
The hours following the mock battle are a blur. The adrenaline that surged through your body during the fight begins to ebb away, leaving you with the familiar weight of exhaustion. You sit in the barracks, your body sore and your mind restless. The clang of weapons and the murmurs of the other gladiators fill the room, but the noise feels distant, almost muffled by the constant drone of your thoughts. You can't seem to quiet your mind. The fight is still playing in your head. The swing of your sword, the strike that landed, the look in your opponent's eyes when he lost his balance. It's a familiar feeling, the replaying of each moment, as if you could somehow find a way to make it better or avoid the mistakes you made. But there's no use. The fight is done. The only thing that matters now is the next one. As you lean back against the wall of the barracks, you notice the other gladiators around you. Some are already resting, their faces tired, their bodies battered. Others are cleaning their weapons, sharpening their blades, readying themselves for the next round of training. You're not sure if they feel the same way you do. For some, this might be routine, just another day, just another fight. But for you, every battle feels like it could be your last. The lanista's voice breaks through your thoughts, calling for all gladiators to assemble. You push yourself to your feet, your muscles protesting with every movement. The lanista is waiting for you in the yard, and you know better than to keep him waiting. There's no time to rest. Not yet. The day isn't over, and neither is the fight. The training begins again, a relentless cycle that shows no signs of stopping. Your body moves almost automatically now, shield up, sword ready, block, swing, step. The drills blur together in a haze of repetition, each movement becoming a part of the rhythm of your existence. There's no time to think, no room for hesitation. You are a machine, and the lanista is the one who keeps you running. Every strike, every block, every swing of your sword is a small piece of the puzzle that keeps you alive. The familiar sound of metal clashing fills the air as you spar with another gladiator. The clash of shields, the hiss of swords cutting through the air, it's all part of the dance. You block his strike with your shield, counter with a swipe of your sword, and then step back, waiting for his next move. The fight is fast, fluid, and almost like second nature. It's not about winning or losing, it's about surviving, about proving that you belong here, in this brutal world of blood and sand. The lanista watches from the sidelines, his eyes sharp, calculating. He doesn't speak much, but you can feel his judgment in the air. Every movement you make is being evaluated, every action dissected. The pressure weighs on you, but you push through it. There's no other choice. You can't afford to fail, not when the arena is waiting for you. You exchange blows with your opponent, your body growing more tired with each strike. You can feel the strain in your muscles, the ache in your bones, but you keep going. You've been trained for this. The pain, the exhaustion, they're just part of the life you've chosen, or rather, the life that was chosen for you. You can't afford to think about it too much. If you do, you'll lose. And losing isn't an option.
The sparring match finally ends, and you retreat to the sidelines, your breath coming in heavy gasps. The sweat stings your eyes, but you ignore it, wiping it away with the back of your hand. You take a moment to catch your breath, but you can't rest for long. The Lanista's voice cuts through the air again, signaling the start of the next drill. The cycle never ends. You fight, you train, you survive. But it's all just preparation for the next round, the next fight, the next moment of terror. As the training continues, you find your thoughts drifting again to the same place they always go. The arena, the crowds, the fear. You can't stop it. It's always there, lurking in the back of your mind. Every fight is a reminder of what could happen, what could go wrong. The arena doesn't care about your pain, your exhaustion, or your fears. It only cares about one thing: whether you win or die. The Lanista calls for a break, and you retreat to the shade of the barracks. The day is getting hotter, and the exhaustion is starting to take its toll. You sit down in the sand, trying to find a moment of peace in the chaos. Your body aches from the constant strain, but you know there's no time to rest. The arena looms large in your mind, as it always does. You can't let your guard down. Not now. Not ever. You catch a glimpse of the other gladiators as they sit around you, their faces etched with the same weariness you feel. There's no camaraderie here, no friendship, just a group of men, bound together by a shared fate. You wonder briefly if any of them ever thought about leaving, about escaping this life. But you know the answer. They're here for the same reason you are: survival. The Lanista's voice cuts through your thoughts again, this time signaling the end of the break. The training resumes, and you pull yourself to your feet, ready to face the next round of drills. The cycle is endless, but it's all you know. You don't know any other life. The arena is your world now, and as long as you're alive, it will continue to be. The rest of the day passes in a blur of movement and exhaustion. You spar, you train, you fight. Your body aches with each passing hour, but you keep going. There's no choice, not when your life is on the line. You've survived another day, but you know that tomorrow the fight begins again. As the day comes to a close, you return to the barracks, your body sore and your mind tired. The sounds of your fellow gladiators fill the air, but you don't join them. You sit alone in your corner, your thoughts drifting to the arena once more. Tomorrow, the next fight, the next battle for survival. You close your eyes, but sleep doesn't come easily. The fear of tomorrow lingers like a shadow, always waiting for you. But you're still here, and for now, that's all that matters.
The barracks is quieter than usual tonight. The usual hum of activity, the clanging of weapons, the murmurs of the other gladiators is strangely subdued. You feel the heaviness of the day in your body, in the deep aches in your muscles, in the weariness that seems to weigh down your very bones. The fight from earlier is still fresh in your mind, replaying over and over like a haunting melody. But there's something different about tonight. You can feel it. It's the calm before the storm, the brief, fleeting peace that only comes before another round of brutality. You lie in your corner of the barracks, the thin, scratchy blanket barely enough to shield you from the chill of the night. The smell of sweat and iron still lingers in the air, a constant reminder of the life you've been forced to live. The others around you settle into their own routines, some falling into uneasy sleep, others staring off into the distance, their minds elsewhere. You wonder where their thoughts go when they're not focused on the fight. Is there a place of peace in their minds, a place where the arena doesn't haunt them? But you know better. You've seen what the arena does to men. It chews them up and spits them out, leaving only shadows of the men they once were. The fight, the violence, the fear,
It becomes a part of you. You can't escape it. Not really. You close your eyes, but sleep doesn't come easily. It never does. The fear, the anticipation, the constant hum of the arena's roar echoes in your mind. Tomorrow is just another day, another fight, another round of survival. You pull the blanket tighter around you, trying to block out the noise, but your mind races with the same questions it always does. How long will this last? How many more battles before your luck runs out? You know it could happen at any time, the wrong move, the wrong swing, and that's it. Your life snuffed out like a candle in the wind. The thought sits heavily in your chest, but you shove it aside. There's no use dwelling on what you can't control. The only thing you can control is your fight. Tomorrow, you will step into the arena again, and you will fight like you always do, with everything you've got, because that's all you can do. That's what keeps you alive. The moment you stop fighting, you're dead. The night stretches on, but eventually the exhaustion wins. Your body gives in to the inevitable, and sleep finally claims you. But it's not a peaceful sleep. It never is. It's a restless, fitful sleep, filled with dreams of the arena, of battles that never end. The sand, the sweat, the clash of swords, the crowd's roar, the sound of your own heart pounding in your chest. And then, as quickly as it began, morning arrives. The familiar routine begins again, the Lanista's voice calling for the gladiators to rise and prepare for the day. You drag yourself out of bed, your body protesting, but you know there's no time to waste. Another day, another battle. You stand in front of the mirror looking at the man who stares back at you. He's different from the man who first walked into this place. Harder, haggard, but there's still something in his eyes. A flicker of life, a flicker of defiance. Tomorrow, you'll fight again. The fight never ends. But for now, you're still here.